Hello, and welcome to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the injury market's top program for doctors, lawyers, and insurers who want to gain greater insight on how to improve patient recovery results and deliver better services in the U.S. injury market. Please welcome your host, Dr. Jeffrey Allen Kronk.
Okay, doctors, what I want to talk about today is some doctors will get kind of wrapped up or held up or tripped up because an attorney will ask them, hey, will a CRMA or an excessive motion test pass a Daubert Frye challenge? And the answer is 1,000% yes. So what you have to understand is what is being asked, and I'll explain it in a little more detail, but what's being asked is so when the attorney is asking it, in my experience, they don't understand that a CRMA is X-ray. So what they're asking you is X-ray a credible and reliable method to assess things? And has it passed muster throughout the professions to be used as something to assess things? The answer is yes, but most attorneys don't know that a CRMA is X-ray. It's measurements on X-ray. So the next question, are measurements on X-ray standard? And have they been found to be reliable enough to use to, say, put into criteria such as surgical guidelines, exact measurements to be used to pre-qualify for spinal fusion surgeries, things like that? Or are they in the AMA guides? And the answer is 100% yes. So if they weren't credible and they weren't reliable and they were highly full of error, they would not be included in those texts. Another thing is, if let's say we use X-ray with a female breast exam and we pick up, let's say there's a cancer. Let's say there's a nodule, and we're trying to figure out, is this thing growing? We're going to measure that on X-ray, and the science and the technique and the technology are well established. So I'm not aware of anywhere in the United States where a X-ray and measurements on an X-ray have not passed a Daubert Frye challenge. Now you have to get into, there can be some issues. Like at Spinal Kinetics, we use an FDA cleared we use an FDA cleared AI to assist with these measurements. And what that does is it takes technology. The technology, there are some softwares out there today that use screen capture. They screen capture an image and they upload the image of the X-ray in for measurements. That technology is easily 15 years old. That's very old technology, and it's not as up to date as the type of technology that I'm talking about. So technologically, we have been measuring things on X-rays for a long time. And so it definitely passes the Daubert Frye challenge. But again, usually the person that's asking it doesn't understand that it's actually an X-ray. It doesn't understand that it's a measurement on X-ray. They've never looked at surgical guidelines and say, hey, wow, in the cervical spine, if you have 3.5 millimeters of translation or more, it qualifies for a spinal fusion surgery under the pre-authorization surgical guidelines, or that it qualifies for an AMA alteration motion segment integrity under the permanent impairment guidelines, or it qualifies for a restriction in athletic return to play parameter guidelines for contact sports. And obviously, if those things weren't credible and reliable, they wouldn't be in those guidelines. So what a Daubert challenge is, it's a particular type of motion made by made to the judge, usually by a defense attorney, but it could be also by a plaintiff attorney, depending on, a plaintiff attorney. Defense might want to say, hey, we did a lie detector test of your client and he failed it miserably. And the plaintiff attorney is going to say, hey, look, lie detection tests are not reliable. They're not proven to be reliable at all. There's no peer-reviewed study that shows that they're reliable. So therefore, they exclude it. Somebody would have to say that X-ray is not reliable. Measurements on X-ray are not reliable. It's not a standard that the profession or the professionals in the injury space use. That would be ludicrous. So when you put it that way to an attorney, they understand and go, oh, now I get it. Prior to that, though, a lot of doctors don't understand they don't understand that the attorney does not understand that it's an X-ray. So just so you know, a Daubert challenge is a particular type of motion made to a judge, either before or during litigation, to exclude either evidence or an expert. And so, the witness who is qualified as an expert by knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education must testify in the form of an opinion or otherwise if the expert's scientific, technical, or other specialized knowledge will help the trier of fact to understand the evidence to determine the fact. I'm a chiropractor. There was injuries, and the trier of fact needs to understand these injuries. The testimony is based on sufficient facts and data. Good. I got the MRI. I got the excessive motion. If there's a fracture, I got the fracture. I got an EKG. I got whatever I've got. I've got my examination findings. The testimony is the product of reliable principles and methods. Gosh, in the excessive motion testing, you're using the principles of what in chiropractic guidelines. The CCP guidelines have both for excessive motion testing and for what you're to do with an x-ray itself. What you're to do with an x-ray itself comes under the ICA best practice guidelines for x-rays. The expert has reliably applied the principles and methods to the facts of the case. So have you applied your x-ray technology properly? Yes. Have you applied what's understood from that properly? Yes. Has it related to how you would treat or how you would assess the injury in the first place, and then two, what you would do and help you with what you would do treatment-wise? The answer is 1,000% yes. So there is no question that an excessive motion test will not meet a Daubert Frye challenge. You as a doctor just have to understand what that is and understand that that is coming from complete ignorance as to what the test is, and which is x-ray and measurements on x-ray. And once that's understood, usually that whole Daubert Frye challenge goes away, and it becomes just that simple. So if you have questions on that, the thing that you could go into is our Smart Injury Doctors Practice Building Success Networks, and put some more questions in there. We could also put documents in there. In my Smart Injury Doctors program, we have actual documents that the doctor can download in our training library. You just put Daubert Challenge Daubert, and you'll see that you would see you see the documents right in our program. So those documents are very easy to get. If you have questions or you'd like a copy of those, you could call us at 800-940-6513, and we could certainly get you a copy of those. Anyway, doctors, on these podcasts, try to be short, sweet, and to the point. I hope this helps. I hope you found this helpful or possibly relevant and something that you're stumbling with. If you have questions on our Smart Injury Doctors program, go to www.smartinjuryDoctors.com. If you want to start doing ligament testing with Spinal Kinetics, you go 877-508-9729, or look us up at smartinjurydoctors.com or thespinalkinetics.com. Anyway, doctors, thank you very much for your time and attention. I hope this helped, and I look forward to delivering content on the next podcast. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Smart Injury Doctors Podcast, the #1 audio production show for professionals in the U.S. injury market that want to deliver better injury services to the patients, clients, or insureds they serve. If you like what you heard today, please leave us a review, and don't forget to join us on our next program.